I was filming the wrong way. So let's see if we can get you guys a video out of this. Oh, hands in the way. Mind you, we're cleaning. Morning routine. So, all right. Dudes and dudettes. No, I see you crackhead. Do your crackhead stuff. So, I'll give you guys a little update while we're in here. So, we had old Derpy McGee. I don't know if you guys remember the bearded dragon with the underbite. That poor little guy. We went through a couple rounds of medication, realized that it wasn't the MBD that was causing the underbite on that guy. If you go back a couple episodes, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So we ran through a couple courses of antibiotics. He used to stay in that enclosure there. And we gave him the full spectrum heating, or the full spectrum lighting, tried to bump him up a little bit. And he did the back and forth. I was hopeful for a bit until I found out that the underbite that he had was not caused by the MBD. So he had MBD already. That's metabolic bone disease. That was working against him. So that, plus the massive amount of neglect that that animal had turned into far worse problems than we originally thought. So he was eating, he was doing his thing, and then I started the course of meds when I popped his mouth open in the back ridge of his jaw. He had a bunch of cheese, bunch of pus coming out of the side, and then we realized that it was a massive amount of stomatitis, which anything with itis at the end of it is the swelling of. So, his whole jawbone was extremely swollen, and the poor guy did not make it. After 2 rounds of medication, he did do a 180, and I had high hopes for him, but unfortunately, we can't save everything. And I'm realistic here, so if something doesn't make it, I'm not gonna tell you guys the rainbows and butterflies. This is the stuff that I have to go through on a daily basis. We could save most of the stuff, and I think that's what's really important, is to try your best. But like my little turtles up there, we're about to get an upgrade on them. I drained out half their water this morning because we were having some water issues, so I gotta condition that. And then we got the little turtle down below buried away. And I gotta clean that big bearded dragon's cage over there. That's Frieza, and she's doing wonderful. But the poor derpy guy didn't make it. But we gave him the best shot of life we could, and that's the best that we can do. We can't fix everything, especially with the infection the way it was, which is why I think it's so important to let you guys know about the wildlife scenarios that we go through, and the fact that, when you get an animal, it's not just the animal, it's not just the equipment, it's the vet care, and it's the research that goes into it, because if you're not providing the proper nutrition, if you're not providing the proper elements, then you're gonna have issues down the road somewhere. So that brings me to Miss Bimini over here, who's doing absolutely wonderful. You can see her eye is, hey, mama. Yes, I see you, little crackhead. I see you, boy. I see you, boy. That's Maui Moana's kid. That's her boyfriend now, because we never leave him. We never leave him alone. But you can see Bimini's eye now. It's doing much better. So we were having problems with swelling. It was harboring some bacteria. We ran through a couple of courses of meds. I think it's really important that I put the videos up. We had put one video up when she was really bad, and then I didn't do the videos following up with Dr. Shetler because YouTube would not monetize it, and we didn't know if it was counting against our channel, taking they basically put limited ads or no ads at all on it because of the medical procedures that we were running. So I contacted YouTube to try and figure out, seeing as it is a professional that's doing it, we're in a professional medical office, and I think it needs to be known. The struggles that we do go through. Hey bud, chill out, man. The struggles that we do go through when dealing with some of these animals, and especially Bimini. Bimini over there, oh, there's my fingers again, sorry guys. Bimini over there took about, I wanna say 7 months before we got her full on back to health. Her eyeball would swell up once a week, we would have to drain that. And I want to give you guys all the vids so you can see the extreme amount of work that went into making sure she was healthy and safe. And it was very difficult, it was extremely scary to go through the process. You never want to lose any animal, reptile, mammal, doesn't make a difference to me. We try our best to save everything we possibly can. Unfortunately, you can't save everything. I do have an episode coming up on that boa that you guys saw with the messed up face. He's doing okay. His face is never going to be the same, but he's doing okay. But I'm starting to hear him rasp up, and I can't tell if it's from him missing his nostrils altogether or if he's got rasps. So we're going to throw a test, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that at home, where you can get it's better if you have a sterile. See there, Bubba? It's easier if you have a, come here, Bubba. It's easier if you have a sterile tube that basically is made for collecting a sample, but you can do it with a Q-tip if absolutely necessary, and then you can put it in a little Ziploc bag and send it out to a lab. So I'm going to show you guys how to test for any viral infections or bacterial infections in RIs and stuff like that. So we're going to send that out just to make sure he's okay. I don't think he has a respiratory infection, but we'll show you that on the episode with that beat up boa. Hold on one second. Who turned that on? All right, so this is just going to be a short episode of what we... Turkey head. What you got? A little turkey head? Oh, bro.
I have a turkey head.
Your turkey head now?
I have a turkey head.
Oh, yes, I see you, big mama. Where's my good girl? Oh, you're such a good girl. Let me adjust this, get you a little further. Hey, mama. Hey, mama. What you doing? What you doing, big mama? Look at that one-eyed wonder. Oh, yes, so clean. So beautiful. But yeah, I think it's important for everybody to know, like, the lengths we went through to save, the things that we save. And the reality of the situation is that even with the modern medicine and even with the abilities that we have to care for some of these things, it doesn't always work out. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes, hey, watch him. Sometimes things do pass away. So unfortunately, Derpy McGee, the bearded dragon, did not make it. So just so you guys know, and everybody's kept on board, we don't do the, if it passes away, we just never film it again type deal. We'll just let you know exactly what happened. And it's the reality of this situation, but we gave them the best that we possibly could, the best care that we possibly could, the best meds that we possibly could, all the testing that we could possibly do. It was just, once that infection gets in the bone, that's the scariest part. Like, infection inside the bone is not bueno. And that was a big fear with that one right there too, because the infection in her eyeball is so close to her brain that if the infection gets any worse and goes to the brain, obviously we have problems. And if they go septic or anything like that, she could have died. She, I thought, was gonna die. We were hiding it from the kids for as long as possible because I was very afraid she wasn't gonna make it. We still have no idea what caused the problem. We have no idea how things came to be what they were. Even with the blood panels and the testing that we did, we got information from the blood panels that didn't make much sense. So we knew she was down on her salts. We knew she was down on, her levels of potassium. Things were way out of whack. And probably caused by the infection. Usually when you're lacking your sodium and your chloride, which is the salts, you're basically lacking that because you either have diarrhea or you're throwing up, which she had neither. And they don't sweat, so she's not losing any salts in the sweat. So that was the big question, is how is she missing that? Where is it going? And we still couldn't figure that out. So basically what we had to do was take the information that we have, and a huge thanks to Dr. Shetler, because if it wasn't for Dr. Shetler, that animal right there would not be alive to this day. So Shetler did a phenomenal job at dealing with the situation, and it was a weekly thing that we were doing because her eyeball would continuously swell up, or the lack thereof. So it would continuously swell up because it was tearing on the inside, and then that was giving a perfect environment to build bacteria inside of that eyeball. So basically what was happening, I'll flip up a picture of her eye blown up if I have it. I always say that, and then I usually don't have the pictures, but I'm pretty sure I have a picture of her eyeball when it was blown up. And that would happen about once a week, maybe once every other week. Sometimes she would go a month, especially when we had the right medications on her. When we were doing the sulfa trim, it really knocked it down because that was what That's what's good for a culture. So we cultured the pus that we got out from her eye, and then once we cultured that pulse or that pus, what we get is a feedback, and that feedback will give us a list of medications and a list of bacterias that are involved with the infection, and it'll tell us which medications are good to take care of all bacterias. I think there was 2 or 3 with her. And once you have multiple bacteria, sometimes one or more of those bacteria is resistant to certain medications, which is why I always tell everybody to test, because if you just throw medications at animals, especially if it's a bacterial infection or if it's a bacterial or a viral infection you're trying to treat with a bacterial type of antibiotic, you're not going to get the results you want. So if we just throw meds at it, it never works out. But if we test and we get the panel back where it tells us, okay, this bacteria is resistant to this medication, this bacteria is resistant to that medication, eventually we'll find a medication where all of the bacteria involved is non-resistant to the medication, and that's the medication that we go with. And the sulfatrim was non-resistant for all those bacteria. So we got lucky with that one, got her on the sulfatrim, and it knocked it down for about a month, but then it came back because the tears kept building up in the eye, and inside that eyeball it would just blow up like a balloon because it was just literally the perfect storm. The eyes closed, the tears are still producing, it's wet, it's warm in there, so the bacteria just kept coming, and then we finally did the magic work, and that was Shetler's idea. And I'll give you that when I do the episode with the medical stuff. I'll tell you what he did to rectify the situation. And luckily he did right when I moved out to Clewiston, because before I was 2 minutes away from the office. And then now, obviously, I'm about an hour and a half away living out here. So it was the first week that we were out here, second week, third week, fourth week, something like that, when I finally got the permits to bring her back, especially in the condition she was in. That was our biggest worry, is because you don't want a sick animal out. And she'll be inside. Her enclosure is being built right now. His enclosure is being built right now. It's the same enclosure. So they're going to be going outside, but they'll stuck him inside at night. We're going to be doing the inside at night for these guys for a little while. I don't want any mosquitoes on the eye. I don't want any issues with the eye, so we're going to be watching her closely. But this is what we do every single day. And this is essentially 2 things. Number one, it's enrichment, of course, for the kids and the animals, because everybody's happy to do what they're doing. And it also keeps these guys where we need them to be, because when I bring them out, if I do any ambassador type programs or if we do any educational programs, we want these guys to be used to pretty much everything. And they love the kids, and this one especially down here. Now we're upside down, but little munchkin down here is this one. That's the mom right there. That's mommy. And she's the sweetest girl ever. And we get this by spending more time than you guys would ever care to know with these guys, which is not at all in any way, shape, or form a bad thing. I love to do it. I wish I had more time to spend with these guys, and soon we will. Because you guys see the enclosures are coming along. That first enclosure took a little longer than expected because I hadn't done it in a while, and I'm doing it by myself. So the good part about it is, after staring multiple times for so long trying to figure out what I had learned way back in the day, now I can move through the next enclosures a little bit more swiftly, a little bit more quickly, because I know my cuts now. I remember the way that I used to do it. So that enclosure came together quite nicely, and now it's just going to give a little bit more speed for the next enclosure. So I think we'll have Romeo and Juliet home within the next 2 weeks. These guys will be outside within the week. That enclosure is going to take no time at all, because I'm just mimicking the last enclosure that I built. And then we're going to be good to go. So we have some things that we have to overcome. We have some things that we have to do. But this is part of the routine. Usually we do this after morning feeding and cleaning, but we got some shit going on downstairs. And these cages are getting cleaned up right now, so I figured we might as well run this now. So we're gonna be here for probably, we do at least an hour right now, and then we'll kind of let them do their own thing. I'd let them run the room the whole time if the cages weren't in here, but we do have heat lights and all that stuff, and we don't want them chewing on wires. So you can't leave them unsupervised. I would never suggest you leave them unsupervised, because if, you know, for those guys, a lot of times with these animals, especially the wild animals, what they want to do is they want to check things out, and a lot of times they'll check it out with their mouth. And then if they want to check out a cord that's plugged into a wall and they chew on that, it's lights out. And no pun intended there, but it's a real deal. So you got to be real careful with what you get. You know, obviously I have my kids who have grown up with all this stuff. They know to love and respect the animals. They know what this is all about. And they know how to handle things without getting freaked out, without freaking the animals out. And this is what keeps the animals the way that we need them to be. Now, I could put them outside on display and not worry about it, especially with them being together. They would have their own social structure. They could spend time with each other. Bimini and Fiji have been getting along fantastically, so that's awesome there. And, you know, I could just put them outside, put them on display, and call it a day. But for us, we like to have that emotional connection. We like to have an animal that's easily trained, easily, you know, transported. If I got to go to the vet or anything like that, all it takes is me. For these guys, I could just pick them up, put them in the box just like Maui. But like Moana, I raised for about 6 months, and she went to the park to be with Maui after that. So she got, the rest of her life was basically raised by Maui or being with Maui, watching how he does his thing. So with her, she's still very good, you know, but it's on her terms. You can't just reach over there and pick her up, because she was raised for display at the park and to be with Maui. But Maui slept in my bed for 1.5 years, so I could pick him up and do whatever I want. Same with these guys. We could pick them up, pretty much do whatever we want with them. And I mean that in a very nice way. I'm not saying beat up your animals or do anything like that. You gotta be very gentle, and you gotta put the work in. But if you don't put the work in, you'll never get out what you're trying to put in. So if you have animals and they're just sitting in a cage all day long, and then you know, in the beginning, like this little guy right here, he'd be nice to everybody no matter what. He's a baby, he's been raised around humans. But if I go and I put him out in an enclosure outside, and we just feed him and clean him and leave him outside for display, eventually it's gonna turn into a point where once he hits sexual maturity, things are gonna change, hormones are gonna go, and then you're gonna be dealing with a Persimmon that may or may not allow you to pick him up anymore, may or may not allow you to do certain things, and he may become aggressive, you know, just by, you know, default alone. Go back to natural instincts, they're outside by themselves, they know we feed them and stuff like that, but without the time spent and without the dedication involved with any animals, and that goes across the board, dogs, cats, reptiles, doesn't make a difference of what the animal is. The time spent is what gives you this right here. Like you don't get this type of bond without the time spent. And I had COVID when we first got Bimini, and we were unsure, especially at that time. It was, you know, 2020. So she'll be 2 in March coming up. And she'll be 2 in March coming up. But I had COVID when I got her, so we were unsure if that could transfer over. We heard about the Bronx Zoo and the tiger getting COVID, and there has been other types of COVID and other different animals, so we had to be careful. So basically this little munchkin right here, my munchkin, took over and raised Bimini, and that's why she has the deepest connection with that animal, because that's her mama. Turkey head.
That's my turkey head.
All right, are you guys gonna end the episode? What do we say?
Boom!
Boom. That's right. Boom.
Say it. Say it.
She's
Like, I don't know what to say.
Say boom.
I'm giving
Crab crawling out. What are you doing? You're not gonna. That's exit. You're exiting stage left. Watch. Little crackhead. All right, dudes and dudettes. So I hope you enjoyed the little episode there. It's just a little update on what we do during the day. And I have an episode coming out that's going to be a day in the life. It was difficult to put together to try and run a full day. of what goes on. But I'm gonna start doing a little bit more of that to show you what goes on. Like, you know, we're gonna be in here for another hour, and then after that, I gotta run these enclosures in here, which won't take much time. I gotta redo these turtles. These turtles are getting upgraded. So we got that running, and then I gotta go into the garage. I gotta take care of all those guys, the crocodilians, everything in there. I gotta treat the snake. I do that every single day, twice a day. And then I got his 6-foot enclosure opened up, so I'm gonna be moving him. Did you? Mama, you can't open the damn door. You can go. Yeah, she can open the door. She ain't stupid. So anyway, so we got some stuff kind of for you guys. We're going to show you like a day in the life. We're going to show you what we got going on. We're going to do episodes on the boa, the treatment, what we've been doing every single day. I'm going to show you guys how to swab some stuff. I got the mite stuff coming out. So we got some fun stuff for you guys, some informational stuff. I know the videos haven't been like crisp, quality editing and all that good stuff. It's easier for me to just float out an episode right now because of the way my internet is. Brian will be back with me soon. Once Brian's back, you guys will get your clean videos like you used to have, so don't fret. That will be happening in the near future. Yeah, he's got his stuff going on. He's building a collection over there, taking care of a bunch of stuff over there. And then we're still building out over here. So once we're done building, we're gonna come back together and we're gonna be slamming this channel out. So for right now, I think we're gonna try and get like 1 or 2 videos out a week. That way we can keep the algorithm going, because I was informed by one of you nice people out there that if I just slam a bunch of videos out, and I was able to do that for 3 weeks and then I had a pause, then it's gonna affect the algorithm. So we're gonna do what we can, what's manageable. Turkey head. What, where'd she get the cookie from? Which kind of cookie? Is that the peanut butter one?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the peanut butter one. It's okay, don't give her any more, please.
She took it.
I know she took it. Don't let her have any more. Look at this nonsense. We'll end it like this. Look at you, you crummy little bastard.
She cookie monster.
You are a cookie monster. Oh, those are the pumpkin ones. That's okay. That's for her. But only one. It's still a cookie. Still sugar in there. And it'll be okay for her. She's 90% frugivore, but all that processed sugar shit you really want to be careful with. We see people do this all the time. It's okay to give your primates and stuff a treat. It's okay every once in a while to throw them a marshmallow, give them a little cookie. No, we don't do like heavy chocolate shit. We don't do heavy sugar stuff. You want to stay away from the processed sugars. They have a lot of sugar in the fruit that they get, and they are 90% frugivores, so they can handle that. But that processed stuff like we eat, you want to keep that to a minimum. A treat is a treat. If you're doing that every single day, it's not a treat anymore. So moderation is key when it comes to anything like that. And then we'll usually use something like that, like a treat like that, for training. Like if we wanted to get in the crate and go to the vet or whatever, or if we do work on her, we would give her a little piece of like a little gummy bear or something like that to give her a treat for being good. So that's the key right there, moderation. But I see a lot of people that own primates that constantly feed human food and constantly do the processed, food that we eat, which is already bad enough for us, which makes it extremely bad for them. So just be careful, guys. Like, it's okay to give your animals a treat every once in a while. With Duke downstairs, my old man, we give him treats all the time because he's an old man, and he's coming to, I don't even want to say it, but he just say he's an old man, so he gets what he wants. But, moderation, guys. Don't feed your animals human food every single day. You're gonna just do them nothing but disservice. And I know it's lovely to put that love into your animals and give them what they want. Obviously they enjoy it, but they enjoy their regular food just as much as they enjoy a treat every now and again. And again, it's okay to give them a treat every now and again, but if you do it every single day, then you will 100% without a doubt have problems with a shorter lifespan. You're gonna have kidney issues, you're gonna have liver issues, you're gonna have all kinds of shit out of whack when you get a blood panel going. If you do your blood panels, and if you're smart, what you do is a biannual checkup. So twice a year, if these guys aren't having problems, they're still getting checked twice a year. Blood panel, we have the microchips in them, the whole 9 yards. So, biannually, Shetler's doing his thing where we're basically checking just to make sure there's no anomalies, no weird shit going on, just to make sure that they're safe and sound. If anybody's got USDA, you know all about that, because You have to have a vet with the mammals that you have, but regardless of if I have USDA or not, if I have mammals, just like my dogs, we constantly do biannual checkups. We constantly bring them in if there's any issues. If I see any issues, I'll catch that as early as possible and bring them right in. It's the only reason she survived. Like if you go back, if you guys haven't seen the Bimini video in the beginning, if you go back a bunch of videos and you look for Bimini and her eye, you can see how bad off she was. And you could see the switch in that video from that Saturday that I caught it. And the only reason that I caught it is because we spend ample time with these guys. And the other thing that helps with spending ample time is I know their personalities. I know how they are. So when she went and laid right down on the bed, which she does, once she's done playing, she'll lay with you and hang out with you. But when she went straight to the bed, I knew there was a problem instantly. And that was before we even saw any problems with the eye. And then 2 days later, because it was on a Saturday, so Monday she was scheduled for the vet. By Monday, boom, just like that, eyeball was blown out. So pay attention to your guys. Make sure you spend ample time, not just for the social structure, not just for the enrichment, not just for the animals themselves, but do it for you. Do it so that you can know exactly what you got going on. This goes for dogs, cats, across the board. The more time you spend observing, taking logs, doing all that stuff with your animals, the more you'll know when there's an issue. Like with any of my guys, I know immediately that there's an issue or there's not, just by the way they behave. So we track that behavior, and if there's anything abnormal with that behavior, they go right to the vet. So it's always better to be safe than sorry. Hey, don't you do it again. Watch this. Watch. This is how we're gonna end this video. You can't do it, you little booger. Go ahead, Bim. Watch this. Go ahead, Bim. You gonna figure it out? I know you know what you're doing. And we're out. Go make sure she doesn't slam her fingers in the door. And boom, that's how we get out. We let the lemurs open the door. Boom. Thank you guys very much for joining me. Thank you guys, everybody on Patreon. I appreciate everybody's patience. It's been very difficult to do what we got going on over here, but we're coming so close to the end here. So once everybody's home, we're going to be able to do much more content. We're going to be at home based. No longer going to have to drive around. No longer going to have to make these weird trips. We no longer have to do this circle of weirdness that we have going on. But it's working right now. I'm getting excited for the future, which I wasn't for a long time. And I'm now excited for the future because I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. So we got a couple more enclosures to build. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have FWC out here. We'll pass that inspection. Hey, I'm trying to talk, bud. And then we'll get the homies home. Once everybody's home, it's time to rock and roll, dudes. So stay tuned. Thank you, mucho, for everybody's support. That I have to scream over the mutt because you want your attention. I see you. I see you. I'm coming downstairs, okay? Calm it down. Sit. Sit your butt. Sit. Sit that butt down. Sit. No. Hey, you better sit that butt down. All right. Say a boom. Good job. All right. And we're out. Thank you guys so much. Love you. Boom.